The diagram that you can see on your screen right now is showing you the experience that people are either having or have had when they go through change. Now, in terms of the pandemic and what's going on in our external environment, lots of organisations are still pushing on with internal change programmes. They're still running organisational change programmes and even operational change programmes. There's a lot of change around us at the moment. And the reason I want to talk about the change curve and the emotional experience that people are having is because emotions drive our decision making. They drive our behaviour, they drive how we feel about something. This is going to influence the way that what's happening around us is perceived and therefore how we choose to respond to it. It's really important that it's not just leaders who understand this change curve. We all need to know how we are experiencing it, and then we need to be able to notice how the people around us are experiencing it. Now, this change curve is not linear. It's really important to notice that. You don't go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 in a linear fashion. You can go to step 2 and get stuck, or you can go to step 2 and then go back to step 1, or you can accelerate through one stage and not even notice that you were there potentially. It's a really, really personal experience, and it depends on a number of things, resilience being one of those key factors. Okay, so resilience, what is it? It's the ability to bounce back from adversity or change. People who have more resilience are going to be the ones that come out of anger or the stage 2 phase much more quickly if they feel like they have their resilience being supported. Now notice, if you're a leader of teams, notice on this change curve if anybody might be stuck anywhere and what you can do to help support them move forward, which we'll go through in this video. You need to know how to move your organisation through this change curve. It's very much about listening and acceptance. If somebody is stuck, there's nothing worse than saying to them, come on, we've just got to get on with it, and trying to push them or force them through this change curve. There's a lot of value in accepting where people are at and just having them be heard and having them feel supported. So some strategies for doing this can include things like introduce the concept of this change curve and change creating an emotional response. The more that we talk about it, the more visible it will become so it can be handled. Because quite often in the corporate space, people don't want to talk about how they're feeling when it comes to change. They just want to get on with it. They want to be task oriented. But this is about emotional intelligence and how we can deal with the emotions of change. Secondly, treat change and people's response to change as a key risk to your organisation, especially if you're going through a change programme. Behaviour is a risk to change, and this is one of the things that leaders often overlook. They look at the more tangible measurement of change. They don't look at the intangible, which is the behaviour and the decision-making that comes from the individuals executing or implementing the change. Thirdly, encourage people to talk about how they are feeling about change and what the change means to them. Now, don't forget, as I said, on this change curve, it's a really personal experience. So what it means to them is very, very crucial and critical. Don't make any assumptions and try not to bring your own judgment to the situation, asking open questions and allowing people to really talk about what's going on for them. And then once they've done that, once they've shared, acknowledge that their feelings are valid. Too often we aren't listening enough or acknowledging enough of how people feel about change, and this can cause the majority of change resistance. So many leaders say to me, how can we get anything done if we were spending time talking about feelings? Now, this is a real common problem that people have. They say, we haven't got time to have these conversations. We haven't got time to listen to how people are feeling about things. However, the opening up and acknowledging that the change is uncomfortable is exactly how you will get things done. People will move through the discomfort much more quickly, having their feelings heard. And when the feelings aren't acknowledged, people turn on change, or they turn on each other, or they don't cooperate, or they either overtly or passively try and avoid the change. This takes up loads of time, it puts the change success at risk, and it can cause cultural issues.